2, 1. That should be it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Wizard Council Gaming. And today's episode is maybe a little more laid back. I really want to do the series justice. I love it a lot. I do really struggle with storyline, like a lot of talking. It's very difficult for me. Which is amazing that this is one of my favorite games because of that. Much like Metal Gear Solid, actually. Like, favorite game, in the top favorites, artistically, and whatever. It's just that I usually just skip all that. Unless it's my first playthrough. I don't do that on first playthroughs. I let them talk. I promise. Okay, I'm your host, Ham. I'm terrible live and off the cuff, so I've kind of scripted myself a little bit. Had a little unconventional start to the series, somewhat aimless. From now on, I intend to only talk either at the beginning of the episode or during the skirmishes, and maybe a recap. Well, always a recap at the end of the episode. Other than that, though, today's episode isn't actually a chapter. It's just dossiers and a little bit of this debrief so that I can get it back on track and follow through. Because I want to fulfill the series well. And I don't want I just don't want to get in the way of the gameplay. So, kind of starting out in the chapters. I went through and read quite a bit about the characters and a lot of this. So, I like starting this game now in the sense that it attunes with maybe some current events. But I'm just going to omit that and pretend like I have no idea what that means. And not that the YouTube series knows me yet. Or YouTube series. Not that, whatever. Hi, I'm Ham, your host Ham, here at Wizard Council Gaming. And I've already been talking too much. I have a note in here that says don't get long-winded. Stop. Look at notes. I'm just going to read from the title screen here. As a resource-rich part of the largest landmass in the northern hemisphere, this land has inspired those with dreams of domination for a millennia. In ancient times, the Valkyria managed to unite Europa under their rule, giving rise to a number of kingdoms. Subsequent divisions arose as influential leaders within each of the kingdoms chose to splinter off to form new nations. And it was not long before the first campaigns of conquest began. By the 1800s, the balance of power lay split between East European Imperial Alliance and the Atlantic Federation, with the small nations in their shadows left to weather the waves caused by the clash of these two behemoths. So you can see they've created like their own little Europe, and we are fighting the East European Imperials from Gallia, this teeny tiny little blue dot in the midst of this greater war. Something I didn't realize about the game is that a lot of these characters are very young. And that's actually kind of horrific when you stop and realize that war can be so efficiently brutal. Like I really love Ted. I've always had him as like one of my mainstays because he's silly. But then I realized like he's 16. The youngest in this entire thing is it? No, it's her. Oh, she's 25. I need to go back. I modulated my crew or my squad and took out anyone who is not of age because it's disconcerting to me. I have like other priorities in mind that like prevent me from doing things that I feel are like imbalanced or something along those lines. I don't know how to describe it, but for instance, like when we play Ark, I don't like to fly because it doesn't fit my character motif. Because I am a dwarf. I play a dwarf in that series. And so I refuse to fly, forcing everyone else to either pick me up and fly me places, or I'll just walk. It works out. But I tend to get into these modes of like refusal, simply based on some form of principle. In this instance, the principle is that like some of these characters, I think it's Nancy, are like 15. Squad 7 Scout, age 15. Her life on the family farm, by the way, the character models move, led her to grow up rather sheltered. She often enjoyed holing up in the stables with animals. It's like a 15-year-old farm hand kid, right? She was my MVP in the last video. She captured the point, but now I just feel like bad for forcing her to engage in warfare because it's awful. So I went through, this guy's my favorite now, because he was a team captain in the Brule Town Watch, for no reason other than I love Town Watch, or like the faceless characters that never get any mention. So Nosh Wordsworth is one of my new favorites. I've gone through and like just looked at all of the characters, found a few that are my favorite. Nils is actually pretty cool. He was like a criminal, and then he's now he serves in the militia. I thought that was pretty sweet. Jan is hilarious, and the description of his little sneezes are just adorable. I've yet to hear him sneeze in game, but if he does, I'm sure it will be adorable. Then let's see, is it Walter? Yeah, he bakes bread with Alicia in his days off. I thought that was pretty cool. As you can see, I'm now favoring anybody who is of actual age. I suppose I do really enjoy a roguelite, and so if a character dies and I am somehow out of characters that are of an appropriate age to fight in war, I apologize, I should I just put my hand in front of the mic. I'm pretty sure that works, right? Like, I get a little too buck wild when I'm live, so I have to like hold myself back. This is why I put stuff in notes for myself. In the debrief here. This is the debrief episode. We're 9 minutes into the debrief episode. I don't really feel like I've done anything. I read through all the dossiers. Everybody's got their own little, niche stuffs. But ultimately, I just cannot bring myself to force children to fight in war, because that's bad. And I hope everyone understands that. So if you don't see your favorite characters, I apologize. But I have some sort of moral high ground to upkeep. That being said, I am going to drop over to the headquarters and mic out for a second and allow for this cutscene to play. So, enjoy.
Hey, Lieutenant! Off duty today? Your timing's perfect. There's something I want to show you. Won't take but a minute. Come on. Ta-da! It's the writing on the wall, written and published by yours truly. Why do this when I already have a radio news gig, you say? Sure, I could leave it up to the print news guys, but they're all lapdogs. The government censors everything. And not just a little cut here and there. In some cases, they'll bend the harsh truth into candy-sweet propaganda. I'm so sick of it. I want to give my readers the truth. That includes the bad stuff, too. So, this is my brilliant plan. The writing on the wall. Some things are only possible in out-of-the-way spots like this, out of sight from those government goons. I'll keep this space filled with up-to-date, absolutely factual info. No censorship. And your exploits will feature heavily, I'm sure. So yeah, come by and have a read sometime.
Time to read. In an interview given on the 8th, a spokesman for the Galleon sent... damn it. I promise I'm not dyslexic. I just get a little overwhelmed. Because it's live. We're doing it live. In an interview given on the 8th, a spokesman for the Central Galleon Armed Forces suggested a massive anti-imperial counterstrike brewing. Should this come to pass, all eyes will be on how a force that has thus far specialized in retreat can stem the imperial incursion that claimed most of Gallia by last month's end and now stands before the gates of Randgreaves. Could have used a couple of extra punctuations in there. How down? It seems the militia will join the army proper on this bid to free the capital from a siege, a fear that has persisted for weeks now. Some suggest that this move is due to the army's desire to conserve its own manpower for combat within the city's walls, a very real possibility should this plan fail. Okay, so this was prior. Flames. Empire owned and run Tear's new outlet reported on the 6th that the Imperial forces have claimed the Coastal Federation city of Valkyria. If true, the Empire would now hold a supply route for Ragnite transit, greatly influencing their standing in southern Europa. Unlike the northern provinces, Europa's south lacks for Ragnite, meaning that supplies must be shipped in from elsewhere to sustain the Empire's offensive. The Empire's hold on Europa's southern coast means the means expansion of the conflict to all areas of the continent is more likely now than ever before. The Federation has yet to issue a statement regarding the Empire's alleged seizure of Valkyria at this time. How unlike some certain events of our modern day. I mean...
And while you're here, I want to put a book out someday, right? To put the truth in the hands of the people. But I'm just a radio news grunt, you know? I'll be paying for everything out of my own pocket. So, I figured I'd ask you. Think you could find it in your wallet's heart to help a girl get started? I'd make it worth your while. You guys could feature in the book I write. I still haven't decided what all I want to put in it, but I promise it'll be all about you. See this fat stack of notes? I've got a ton of material already. So how about it? Call it an investment in the future rising star of authordom. Please.
Remember, kids, support local artists.
Thanks a million.
You're welcome.
I plan on putting out new editions periodically, so drop by to check it out often.
I will.
Especially after you've made some headlines on the battlefield. That's the perfect time to strike. I'm counting on you out there, Welkin. You need to keep me supplied with exciting material.
Awesome.
Hello, Welkin. Here to fine-tune your squad?
Yes. Okay, so went through and believe Largo, I don't actually need. I need more scouts.
Thanks for everything, and let me know if I can help out, okay?
Okay. Except they're all too young. Shock trooper.
I'm Wendy Cheslock. Kaboom.
I do like their personalities. They're all very
Come back anytime you need to change your lineup, Lieutenant.
sure thing. And I guess we'll just drop into some training field. Now's the perfect time I can kind of like cut loose a little bit. I don't have to be so like rigid. I also just started a Reddit account for the channel where I will occasionally be asking for comments, critiques, and just overall feel for how the series is unfolding. This, among other things, we do have a wide breadth of play, like game types, and like overarching episodes. That's for the channel though. Just stay a little focused.
Welcome to your worst nightmare, maggots! Train all you want. I've got all day.
I bet you do. Let's see. Engineer's the cheapest, and I will always need one of those. So, oh, I see. Hi.
I got no use for tears. Sweat, sweat, sweat.
Cool.
Good work, maggots. You're one level closer to human.
Drill instructors. Drill instructors. Alright. I want to level everyone up at least once. Oh wait, can I just do all of them at the same time? That's perfect.
Bite the bullet! No pain, no gain! Good work, maggots! You're one level closer to human. Looks like that section beat a new potential out of the Lancers. Looks like that section beat a new potential.
Okay, I get it. I get it.
Come back anytime you're ready to sweat.
I'm already sweating. Thank you. All right. R&D.
Welkin, bro! I'm stoked you're here, man. What can I do you for?
Some tank stuff. Parts? I got nothing. Weapons? Ah, yes. Okay.
Here you go, bro. Here you go, bro. All done.
Yeah. Always new uniforms. I don't know. Oh, it gives a defense. Okay, cool. Yeah, of course. Always.
All set for you, bro.
Good defense. Keep you from getting dead.
Here you go.
Worth it. And all. We're just gonna, hit the ground running here.
Here you go, bro.
Yep. Sight, accuracy. It's probably pretty important. Spare tread, radiator, upgrade. I'm gonna leave it for now. Probably okay. Let's get into you can just cycle through everything here.
All set.
Yeah, let's get everybody upgraded.
All set for you, bro.
Thank you. Make sure we did all our diligences. Left ourselves some quiche.
Come back
Some
again soon, bro.
ducat.
I mean
I
it,
believe
man.
that's how it's pronounced. That is the central currency of Gallia. I read that earlier. In a book. I hope no names end up here.
Paying your respects. Sorry, I suppose that was a foolish question.
Actually, no, sir. I'm not here visiting anyone in particular.
Oh, then might I ask what brings you to a place like this?
I find it sobering, standing here in front of all those who died in the last war. That and seeing this much death reminds me that humans are just another part of nature.
Don't suppose I've ever heard that before. Judging from your clothes, you're militia.
Yes, sir. Lieutenant Welkin Gunther. I'm in charge of Squad 7, Regiment 3.
Gunther. I see. Squad leader. Very impressive for a young man.
Not at all, sir. I'm still woefully inexperienced. One wrong order from me and my squad could wind up here. It's a huge responsibility.
You respect the weight of their lives. Here, let me teach you a special order.
An order, sir? I'm sorry. Who did you say you were?
Just a leftover from the last war. I'm afraid my orders require some experience, though. I can't in good faith teach them to those who lack the maturity to use them properly. Now, let's see. I'll teach you retreat today. Use it to command an injured unit to pull out of combat. Well, what is your decision?
Oh, we spent too much experience. I will remember this for the next time.
I see. I suppose it was too soon for you. I hope we'll meet again. Should you wish, you can likely find me here.
Duly noted. All right. What kind of time are we looking at here? 30 minutes in. Glossary. I don't know that I have the time to go through all of episode 4, so I won't. Like I said, the new base concept. I've been watching a lot of no commentary gaming, and I find it actually like something that I wish like I had known about prior to this, and I want that, but I also want to offer some perspective, but I don't want to infringe on the game's overall already like very beautiful aesthetic and the hardened nature of like the realities that they represent. Like a lot of these kids are conscripts and fighting within their country to save it from invasion. So it's actually something that happened many times over in other wars. Not that I agree with it, but it does raise that point. And so in the realities that the game presents, in an anime form, in a like playthrough story, I want to do it justice because they did a very good job in making all of the Valkyrias. So, I don't want to step on the toes by making light of situations or anything like that, even though I do have a struggle with storylines. And yes, of course we find off humor funny, but I feel that the game deserves more than that. And that's what this episode's all about, is toning it down, dialing it back. We got through the tutorial, right? We lived through the tutorial. That is always the hardest part. So I'm just gonna peter out the episode here by taking a look at some of these. Maybe even give you a chance to read. Did you ever go through these and read all this shit? There's a ton of information in this game to absorb and take in, which is one of my favorite things to do. I'm like an information junkie. Just addicted to knowing and understanding things. I'm just gonna read. With the sea at its north and west, and thick forests shielding it to the south, Gallia is naturally fortified against invasion, historically allowing it to repel even significantly larger foes. Hilly plains cover 60% of the nation's land, and its mountains contain a rich store of Ragnite ore, a valued source of energy. Large cities dot the flatlands to the north, while the rest is largely occupied by lush farmland. Gallia enjoys a temperate oceanic climate, with little variation in rain levels throughout the year. And the soil is highly fertile, because growing conditions for livestock and grain are equally favorable. Gallia practices a mixed form of agriculture. So they're an agricultural hub surrounded by a forest and separated by mountainous terrain. That's actually, it's eerily reminiscent of where I'm from. Brol. This small town lies on the imperial border at the eastern edge of Gallia. Windmills stand atop the crests of many of the region's rolling hills, but few are as large as the so-called sister mills, built from an old castle tower in the heart of the town. Because it radiates out from the mill, Brol is also known as Miller's Home. Ah, right, because of it would make a mill. So, when nope, I won't get into actual history. The town supposedly began as a hideout for Royal Guard soldiers who revolted against the king. Perhaps in echo of that, this town of just under 8,000, nonetheless, has an active town watch, and Brolers are famed for taking pride in guarding their homes themselves. Exports include dairy and bread made from locally grown wheat. Town watch. What? Always love the town watch. The capital city, Rengriz. Capital of Gallia since its days as a monarchy. This ancient city has the longest history of any in Europa. The city takes its name from the ancient war hero who founded it and began rule over the surrounding area, the ancestors of today's House Rengriz, surrounded by castle walls stretching 1 kilometer in diameter. That is super, the entire city stands as a citadel and contains the seat of Gallia's politics, economy, and culture. Gallia is actually supposedly a very culturally breadth region, as they draw from everywhere, being so resource rich. A lot of people it's like a melting pot. And so in the game, you'll notice some of the characters have accents and or culturally seem displaced. It's because they actually came to Gallia and then enlisted thereafter. Castle Rengriz, home to the Archduke, marks the iconic heart of the capital. Its single magnificent tower has been likened to a unicorn's horn, giving rise to the national crest that bears the likeness of the mythical beast. There is a unicorn and a lion. Where can I see that? Do I have to go all the way down like this? I do. Oh, no, that's the plant. I kind of hearken this to trilliums. Sort of reminded me of trilliums. It's an actual real life plant, but a perennial plant. By the way, they included lore for a plant, but very cool nonetheless. A perennial plant found across Gallia, near and dear to the hearts of many as a sort of informal symbol of the nation. Distinguishing characteristics include small, white, star-shaped flowers, and seed tufts often carried off by the wind like tiny snowflakes. Its leaves spread close to the ground's surface in clusters, with stalks bearing the plant's flower at the center. As an exceptionally hardy plant, they are known to thrive even under adverse conditions, weathering times of extreme hardship to bloom again the next year. So I'm assuming, yes. It's cool that we really miss out on how much information and backstory is put into games, which is like I hope to cover in other series. Is that it's like there's always something we missed, and I really don't. It's funny because like nowadays we really get caught up in this notion that like all games are somehow like, you know, that they're only meant to appease our interests as they are like presented to us. I guess I'm really just talking about like the first person shooter genre currently, and how they like sort of modulate themselves to like look like the others, to like, you know, and they lose their heart, and we all know what I'm talking about here, but like it's really kind of like a lot of depth and backstory goes into games, and like even in Call of Duty there's like lore facets and like little Easter eggs and things that like a lot of people just omit altogether because they're more interested in chasing some kind of fame, and that sucks. But I hope you had time to read this. I'm not going to read all of these, but I am going to just sort of go through like all of them. I guess if I see something that's like should be read, I should be reading all of these. But like I have trouble doing lives. I get like kind of wrapped up in my own head, and so hopefully you have enough time to like read these. Maybe you played the game and never actually went through all these. I know I didn't. In fact, I didn't go through and read all of the dossiers for the players, or the players for the characters, and discovering that a lot of the characters were like not even of age was like extremely disconcerting. And I actually, of age is questionable. 18-year-olds should not be fighting in wars, but they so frequently do. Okay, so this is the Imperials here with the double-headed eagle. Somebody knows their history. A conglomerate of nations united under the rule of East European Emperor, commonly referred to as the Empire. The Industrial Revolution that occurred when Ragnite was discovered as a useful energy source saw the nations of East Europa, pioneers in machine technology, rise to power. Already tightly bound by a network of marriages amongst their royalty, these nations now join hands in a formal international alliance. While not technically an autocracy, the Emperor enjoys limitless authority within the alliance. The Empire retains customs and practices held over from medieval times, and its people are known to harbor conservative views, including a strong hatred for the Darcian race. So people with black hair in this game are Darcian, descendants of a Darcian race, which was the original Valkyria wars, where like it was basically like light-haired people versus dark-haired people. There was no like distinguishing factors really. I actually, there is more Valkyria titles that cover this, and I should just leave it for that. I won't get into too much explanation. However, people have a strong hatred or dislike for Darcian folk. Always troubling, but it seems like the game's very open-minded with like a lot of things. So You know, there's like obviously, you know, characters that are of all personages, and so that's pretty cool that like everyone's included. But war will do that to you, right? It's just funny how everybody is just getting shot at. Tend to not really care who's shooting back. The European calendar. See, this kind of shit. Alright. The calendar used across Europa has at its origin the Valkyria conquest of the continent. For this reason, it is also known as the Valkyrian calendar. Each year is counted in relation to the year the Darcian people were subdued and Europa was united as a continent. Years predating the unification are denoted as BC, or before conquest. We could easily do that now. I've always wondered things about things, but that's not for this series. This is about Valkyria. EW1. Friction between Federation and Empire surrounding Ragnite resources escalated into a continent-wide war. EW1. I don't know. The Industrial Revolution of the 18th century led to skyrocketing demand for Ragnite, pitting Europa's twin giants in a race for resources. When the crown prince of the empire was assassinated at the start of the 20th century, tensions spiraled into all-out war. Though the imperial forces employed a corps of newly developed tanks, hostilities soon became bogged down in fruitless trench warfare, and the two exhausted powers ultimately signed a ceasefire agreement. During the war, Gallia's military, led by General Belgen Gunther's tank corps, foiled an imperial invasion attempt. Okay. So he was, right, father of Welkin was very much influential in the First War, and that is why everybody seems to have, like, a, you know, there's a notion that Welkin has something to live up to, or that he is of some form of royalty, simply because of his relation to his father, who in the First War was incredibly influential. So that's where he gets all of his fancy doodads from. And he's a very capable person, I feel, but he does, even in that last interaction, you can tell that it weighs on him to have such responsibilities, and that he had not sought that prior to this, and that he was hoping to, you know, study animals and understand nature respectably. Beginning as an imperial incursion into Federation land, EW2 quickly engulfed the entire continent in what became the largest scale war in Europa's history. Though EW1 ended in a stalemate, both powers had spent their intervening years stockpiling arms and preparing for the inevitable return of hostilities. After a short 20-year pause, the Empire began the invasion anew, taking 3 of the Federation's border republics in quick succession. The Federation responded with a formal declaration of war. Damn. I hate to say I'm like spot on with shit, but I know 3 countries right now that are struggling with this very same premise. It wasn't long before the forces of both superpowers began to spill across the borders of other neighboring nations. Soon all of Europa was caught up in a war that dwarfed all those in memory. Yikes. Conscription. You live there. You have a responsibility to defend where you live. Conscription works in a lot of different ways. They very accurately depict it here in an actually like understandable way that I think a lot of it would probably be beneficial. I'm actually very much in support of the military. As their ultimate goal is service to humanity. However, the applications thereof sometimes become a bit misconstrued. However, as a species, we've been bonking each other to death for a long time. So, you know, I don't think that anyone's really wrong in their application of, like, actions or voice or anything, I guess. Even though they disagree with some things. I don't know why I'm off on this. See, this is why I left a note for myself. Try not to get long-winded. The Gallian Army. 80,000 ground units, 10,000 marine, 20,000 or 2,000 military police. In addition to the town watches, so rough total of around 100,000 personnel, give or take, maybe like a couple of thousand. That's a fairly substantial force, but small. And then considering that while they do have a conscription and like tenable service, so that you can learn whilst in school, which makes sense because the nation itself is only like 400 some odd thousand people, which means that 1/4 of them are combat capable at any given time. That's actually fairly impressive. And the National Arsenal. Tanks. They got tanks. We have the fanciest tank. That's why it's in the story. This one. The Edelweiss. I really like the design of this tank. I wish I could rotate it. Maybe I can in like a character model or something, but it's a very cool looking tank. Oh, it employs a Ragnoline fuel combustion engine. Okay, so Ragnite is gas. So this is like essentially like gas and oil. They just call it Ragnite. And it looks glowy and it's blue instead of black and, you know, viscous goo. I didn't mean to rhyme. I tried to stop myself, but saw no other means out of it. Had to keep going. Ragnite. They literally, of course. So, like all wars are fueled by things that can be consumed to facilitate more war. Once upon a time, that was usually just food and a little bit of promissory gold. Over time, it became much more resource dependent. And how this is akin to our state of being and or like previous states. Like, I think they did a very good job. at displaying like the truth of war in, I would say, like a younger person's I guess representation, a representation for younger people to be able to understand like the realities of things without having to experience like the horrible realities of things. And that is, I think, maybe one of the main reasons I really love this game. Is it's just done so well. And it's a book. Maybe that has like a little more to do with it. I collect books. I love read. Read good on occasion. And in my head it sounds better than when I read it out loud. Ironic how that works. Oh, it also as a painkiller and disinfectant restorative. It is basically like back to goo from Star Wars. So it is the one and only thing you need for all things. Of course, everyone's gonna fight over it. Can't wait till we discover one of those, huh? I want to be like, look at this new thing! And then one guy in the corner of the room is going to be like, I'm going to kill somebody for that. So, all the way to Lion's Paw. We made it. That would conclude all of this. Apologize for getting so alarmed. Let's see. Yeah, there's a lot of detail in. You can zoom in on this too. It's just your standard rifle. A domestic defense weapon for standard issue. This would, I guess, be like the M1 Garand, as it was at the time of. However, this is not. It is looks a bit like a car, and that was the German standard issue rifle. Oh, so this is the, I guess, the improved version, and as you can see, it has more metal. That makes it better. Submachine gun. They have a ton of like informational upkeep in here. They just have like a ton of side info that I never actually went through. Maybe it's good that I only did it this way. Improved version. We'll get there, I'm sure. I've actually never beaten the game. I have a real bad habit of starting games and then never actually finishing them. So I'm not gonna tell you how far I haven't made it into the game, but you'll definitely notice like my reaction change as to like not knowing how events transpire. So there's a Lancer. Barrel length, ... I'm assuming it's because it doesn't have a barrel. And military sniper rifle, just like an upgraded version of the car with the scope. Nades. Look at all the spam. Other nades. There we go. Tank. So pretty. It's a very nice looking tank. Designed and constructed by Sara's late father, Tamer. This tank's 360-degree rotating turret, fully automated loading system, and other innovations completely revolutionized tank technology. built to be operated by two, Welkin mans the guns and issues commands to Isara in control of both the wheel and wireless radio. Despite its age, it was amongst the first to use angled plating and other emergent concepts yielding high performance from an early test stage. Its high cost was all that precluded its mass production. That is so fucking true. Like, if you saw the things that got yeah. If only you knew, audience. If only you knew. You could easily know. In fact, I find a lot of things that people are like, how do you know that? I'm like, it's public information. You just have to know where to look. Read a book? I'm doing it digitally. Yes, here's the light tank. As you can see, it's 360-degree turret. This is the enemy tank. And, actually, I guess it's just the common tank, right? Because everybody uses these. So, and then that would end the weaponry. So we've gone through all of the things? Yeah. Oh, aged gentleman. Age 52, a frequent visitor to the graves of his fallen EW1 comrades, this doleful gentleman has begun passing his learned orders down to Welkin. I get the feeling that there's more to this guy than we know. But I'm willing to be patient. It just seems like he's always the quiet guy. It's too much. Alright. So, I believe that will cap the episode. So, in this, we set a precedent for how we're gonna do the episodes from here on out. That's a wobbler. Say hi, wobbler. We're live.
I was trying to be quiet, but those doors are squeaky.
This studio has a few. We are a team of people, and sorry, I didn't mean to leave my phone all up in here.
I mean, it's a chair. It's a service.
So yeah, it's gonna cap this episode. Refined process, maybe some notes. Thank you, Reddit, for your input so far, and everybody else who has given me input. I've actually received a ton of input on how to fulfill this title. Mostly,
Reddit's already talked back.
It's
like hours old.
Yeah, I know. Right, I know.
Yeah, I should have figured.
Yeah, that's exactly how it goes down. This is just like a after episode recap. We got considering the live delay, maybe like a few minutes. I don't even need these fucking headphones on anymore.
Yeah, you're not listening.
So yeah, a lot of input has come through. It's mostly, you should do like your level of commentary, but like selectively, and I've decided now that
find a topic, stick to it for the episode, kind of.
Yeah, keep it episode centric. Also, don't talk over the people. That was episode 1 and 2.
I mean, it makes sense from my standpoint, not from the internet's, when Ham talks in cutscene.
And that's the other thing too. There's no interpersonal understanding or basis behind, I guess, my persona in game, right? You guys, we've been playing.
Oh
games
yeah, on that
forever.
first episode, you talking, I lost it.
I know. Yeah, I know, because that is it's like we've been playing games forever, so you know what I'm fucked up on constantly. But the audience, they have no idea.
Yeah.
So
don't worry, you'll get to know the man.
Trying not to overwhelm them with my insanity is sort of like,
Yeah, you know, it's like we're dating the internet. You gotta hold back the crazy for a little while.
Then you just let it-
slowly kind of like, oh yeah, no, these guys are fucked up.
Yeah, and then one day
But it's too late
looking
'cause I
back
love 'em.
on the relationship like, what in the fuck is going on here? And by that point, you're invested.
Yeah.
And there's another episode coming out tomorrow. Something I didn't know about this game. A lot of these characters are like underage.
Oh, I mean, Japanese game, yeah.
Well, yeah, and also like conscription in dire circumstances of war, obviously. I had to go through though, and like I even
but I
pulled
mean-
like some of my MVPs because I'm like, dude, you're 15. Like, you're not fighting in no fucking war. You know?
Yeah, I mean, they did.
Yeah,
They have.
right, they did and they have, but no.
Well, yeah, when you've got
Not
the
under my command.
when you've got the option.
When
yeah.
you have the
Yeah.
option. It,
I
look,
was
if
actually-
everybody else dies, maybe.
Yeah.
But no.
That's kind of how war works. You know?
Yeah. You definitely.
Like, huh, we out of soldiers.
Oh my god, I'm gonna turn the fucking mic volume down. We're killing it right here. But yeah, anyways.
But yeah, you know, and yeah, anybody listening to Hams, I'm just gonna slide this in real quick. Tomorrow at noon, I'm gonna be streaming some Chernobylite. That'll be episode like 5
Hey,
or
everybody,
4 or
if
something.
you've
Yeah.
made it this far into the episode and you would like to watch some Chernobylite with Wobbler,
Yeah. And Dimitri. Dimitri will be here tomorrow to give a little homeland commentary.
I do really love Dimitri being in-house.
Yeah.
I also want to say something I've noticed. Ever since your Chernobylite episode, we've been recommended a lot of Russian streamers. Yeah. When I'm like going through YouTube and like trying to find, a lot of like Russian streamers are showing up, and so
Well,
like, I think
some
we
of them
should,
are bots.
No, you can. They have your stupid little picture at the bottom of the screen. You can see them. Oh no, you're talking about the ones that are
Like watching
commenting.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
shit. Yeah. That's probably
Yeah.
bots or something. Whatever. But ever since I've seen like a ton of Russian streams, and then I kind of got this like, okay, well like, it's a world internet, right? That's like kind of one of my favoriteest things about the internet. Is like everyone in the world has it. We get a ton of hits.
Anyway, that's a different conversation.
We get a ton of hits from people who speak Farsi, because Ham is I don't know, but there's like a personage from history whose name is Ham.
Okay.
And is
so you're prolific.
So there's like there's a lot of Arabic writing, and it's like they're looking for Ham. And that's how I've seen it in the search history for the YouTubes. Like they're looking for Ham.
See, mine doesn't translate as well, but apparently wobbler is like a fish thing over in Russia.
Yeah.
So maybe they're hungry.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, I've noticed that your videos, anything titled Wobbler or appears Wobbler in the, like, ton of hits. It's ridiculous. I don't know. So, I think what we need to do is come up with oh, bro, like, all of your videos top everything else in half the amount of time.
No, I had something in brain. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That's for later, not for internet.
We need to come up with names for Randall and Emerson. So
Randall and Emerson.
Yeah. No. Not that. Not that. You think we got time for a little hardcore in the morning? Or wait, are you
I'm not doing nothing.
You're here today?
Yeah.
Oh, internet. See, this is why I didn't do an actual chapter, because I had a feeling this would happen. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, never mind.
Or,
I'll
well,
say that.
I can actually see the live count. Nobody's actually tuned in.
Yeah.
Well, actually, can I see the live count?
It doesn't show on here, or we're just too dumb to find it.
Or probably that.
Yeah.
Anyways, latency, and
There's got to be a way for us to, like, let it render that last, like, 5 or 3 minutes or whatever.
yeah,
Or do we
it's-
just